Yo guys, in this video I am gonna talk about fundamental analysis. This is very important when you are buying into projects, and whenever you decide to buy something for the longer term, you should be actually taking a look at this. So it's fine if you are a trader, but if you wanna trade, for instance, altcoins, then you have to make sure that what you trade, you know what it is, right? You just don't wanna trade a random coin. It could turn out to be a shitcoin, whatever. So you have to understand the basics of fundamentals, and depending on your style, you could be an investor, you could play altcoins and the bull run, you could be again a day trader, right? But for instance, if you day trade, in most cases it's gonna be Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you could do this with other tokens like Solana, for instance, or even smaller alts. This is why it's important to actually check a project from several angles, and if there is confluence, it's better, right? So let's say there's a project which is very good fundamentally, and then the charts, the DA checks out as well, and then actual protocol happens to make a shit ton of money, revenue, profit, many users. Then there is a narrative because let's say, I don't know, it's a gaming coin, and then everybody is buying into gaming tokens. If all these together come together at the same time, that is a wonderful opportunity. So in this video, I am mostly gonna focus on fundamental analysis, but I will mention the other things as well. And again, you could buy tokens purely based on chart as well, right? If you are a trader, or you could combine these, or you just look at the fundamentals. It's still a smaller coin, didn't get any spotlight yet, but you check out the project and you just buy in for a long-term hold, for instance, and then you just hold it for months, and then people will discover it and start buying into it because actually it will generate value, right? So it's very important that you have to understand what your timeline is, because maybe you want to day trade, then the charts are super important, fundamentals less. Maybe you want to do swing or position trading where charts still super important, but again, fundamentals are important too. You don't want to buy into a rug. You don't want to buy into some random coins, right? So you want to trade something which is actually token of a normal project. Depending on your setup, depending on what you want to do, some things matter less, some things matter more. But what you are looking for in general is confluence, right? So it's like good chart, good fundamentals, good fundamentals, and again, business numbers add up as well. So let's start with the fundamental analysis. So I try to collect all the important information here. I don't want to dive deep into this, but let's go through the list. So project starts with a team, right? So you have to look at the team members, who they are, what did they do in the past, how they communicate with users, what are the skills, are they able to pull off something, how transparent they are, right? So you have to go through these things, and this is more important when project is smaller, because if a protocol is already like multi-billion-dollar protocol, then someone has vetted them before you, right? Maybe that project has been around for 5 years, maybe hundreds of people work on it. It's a very different in that case. But if you want to buy into something new and the team is the size of 5, then this is super important, maybe even their anons. So you have to take a look at this, but it gets more important when the protocol is newer. So then you also have to take a look at the third parties like community and the investors. Do they have investment? Who are the investors? Can they promote them? Can they help them? What is the community like? What kind of people use the project, etc. There is also a roadmap, and any team can make good roadmap, right? Question is if they follow up and they can implement. So you have to look at the milestones. Do they deliver what they promise, etc. And in general, I'm not a huge fan of roadmaps, right? But you still have to understand what the project is trying to do, but just don't get too hyped up based on a roadmap. Next one is security, which is especially important if you are dealing with new protocols. Again, if the protocol is older or the project is older, then it's more safe, right? It's safer just because time has passed and they are still alive. Most of the rugs and scams happen early in the protocol's life. So if something is already 5 years old, older project or whatever, then it's safer because hackers haven't found any vulnerability last 5 years, right? And also you have to see if they are open source, you can check the code, and did they do audits, right? Because projects actually pay for audits. So there is auditors who go through the code and try to find bugs and security issues. And when you buy into very early stage projects, say a few days, weeks, or months ago, then you have to be careful, right? You wouldn't risk a shit ton of money on any of these protocols because they can scam you, they can be hacked, and your money could be gone in a minute. All right, then let's take a look at competition or market, right? So is this protocol unique? Try to do something new, or they are just copycats? If they are copycats, is it a problem? Or maybe they are just the same implementation on different chain of a certain protocol that could work in certain cases? Do they solve a real problem? Do people care about this? Is there product market fit? So in general, does it make sense to have this protocol or project? Because in many cases, projects are just useless. Like people try to say, like team members, like, oh, we came up with this idea and this solves this and that problem. And at the end of the day, no one cares. Is a problem, right? And then is the market saturated already? Are there some huge industry leaders? So the project will have hard time pulling away users from those companies, or this protocol actually focuses on a niche, on a smaller part of the market where actually they can take over people, right? So you have to think about these things as well. And then, of course, tokenomics, which is something unique to crypto. The previous things that I talked about, those are important for other businesses as well, right? Other web businesses too, but tokenomics is crypto specific. So you have to look at the distribution, of course. Is there vesting period? How much team gets? How much investors get? What is the utility for the tokens, right? So if you hold a token, do you get any benefits, etc.? And then, of course, the incentives, liquidity pools, staking, maybe you get airdrop as an early adopter, maybe you get governance, right? So these are important. We have separate lessons on tokenomics because it's super important. So check those as well. And again, in many cases, other people check this for you upfront. So if a protocol is already $100 million and many people, market cap, and many people still buying in, then it cannot be that screwed up. But still, it's good to check it because there could be token unlocks or anything. And if you're aware of that, then you might be able to predict the token price better. On to the next one. So I have a category here called fundamentals, which is, would say also narratives, because in many cases, people jump on a narrative bandwagon in crypto and then they just tried that narrative and try to make money with that. Right now, we had like basically the Solana narrative. So everybody was jumping on Solana ecosystem and buying Solana ecosystem coins. So when you evaluate projects, like, okay, this is a project which is fundamentally good. And then now we have some narratives or fundamentals. So would just buy in before all the hype comes. And with that, you can make money. You have to figure out the pros and cons. And then, of course, is there a hype around it? With what people talk about it? Usually crypto Twitter is super important. Is it under the radar or already many people found it? If it's all over your timeline on Twitter, then it's not something new that people don't know about, right? Maybe everybody already bought in. So if you try to buy in now, then you might be late. And what do people think? It's not enough that you see the name of the protocol, but you actually read those tweets and analysis and whatever information you find. And what is the sentiment? Are people bullish on it or bearish? Because that can have an effect on the price. And then what is the size of the protocol, for instance? It matters if it's like $100 million protocol or 10 million, then of course your expectations should be different based on your timeline. If it's a smaller project, right? Because now we also talk about altcoins, like maybe microcaps that we are talking about, then can normies find it, right? Is it available on centralized exchanges, or you can only buy it on decentralized exchanges? Because in that case, it's harder to discover. Many normies and not crypto native people, they don't have MetaMask, for instance. They like to trade on centralized exchanges. Again, the narrative, why would it pump now? Is it a pump and dump, or is it just gonna be a pump and then a longer time hold? You have to think about this as well. The liquidity, is it easy to buy in? Because if it's an illiquid small cap coin, then whales are not interested because they cannot buy in with size. And if they have a shit ton of money, they don't care if they can 10x their $1,000, for instance. And where can you buy token? Maybe you have to bridge. Maybe it's on a shitty chain and people don't want to jump on that chain because it's painful. Maybe it takes half an hour to buy the coin. You have to create new wallets, whatever, in which case it's more kind of hidden and lazy people won't buy it. So is it easy to buy? Is it on usual decentralized exchanges, for instance? And then you have to look at the holders and transaction numbers, but this is also connected to the tokenomics, but you have to see like people are actually trying to buy this, how many holders are in, etc. That is also a good indicator. And then in general, if the protocol is already growing, it's not totally new, then revenue, profit, users, these will become very important. If a protocol is very small and not discovered yet, of course, this is less important. But if you want to buy into a bigger protocol, then this will become important, because if a company or project is already big, then at some point they should start generate good numbers. And take a look at Rollbit right now. It's a casino gaming protocol basically, and they generate insane revenue and profit. And the market cap just keeps going up. Soon it's $1 billion, because actually it's a good business and they make money, right? They make revenue, profit, they have users. And in that case, of course, even if the valuation is already huge, like almost $1 billion, it still keeps going up. And of course, when you say good, it can be relative as well, because people tend to compare projects to each other. So if there is like a protocol which is in the same field and let's say it's valued at $500 million market cap and makes half the revenue or half the profit, then this protocol should reach $1 billion if they make twice as much profit, right? So it's like people like to compare these things, and if they see that something seems to be cheap based on other projects, then they tend to buy in. And how do you see if something is cheap, right? Based on the numbers like market cap, which is the valuation of a certain project, but then you can compare the number of users, assets, liabilities, daily active users, retention, revenue, profit, all these things will play a role in it, right? So it's like you have to evaluate these things as businesses as well, especially if they getting bigger. And then, of course, technical analysis, which I'm not going to talk about because we have Michael in the trading campus. He's very good at it. So if you want to dive deep into this, then check it there. But again, you have to understand that charts or technical analysis matter the most on lower time frames. If you are day trading, you barely care about fundamental analysis. Sure, you don't want to day trade a shitcoin, but if you are day trading, the fundamentals and business numbers are less important, of course. Fundamentals can be very important because if you expect some tokens to go up a lot in the near future, then maybe you day trade it. And if you are good at technical analysis, then you can get good entries and you know when to take profits, how to stop losses, etc., right? But even on a longer time frame, maybe you are a swing trader or a position trader, and then you look at charts on a higher time frame, in which case technical analysis can help you a lot with buying into good coins, right? So let's say you made the fundamental analysis of a token, you found it very good. Let's say the business side of it was fine as well. You expect some fundamentals and narratives soon regarding that token. Then technical analysis is still useful because you could understand the levels and the market trend, and you would know when to buy in and when to sell, for instance. So these things actually work very well together. Maybe you are focusing on one of these. Maybe you are good at fundamental analysis, or you can do the narrative plays and rotation very well. Maybe again, you are a trader, but it's good to have basic knowledge in each of these. And then of course, you could focus more on something. Maybe you will focus more on finding new low cap altcoins that haven't pumped yet, but have good fundamentals, and soon they will have good fundamentals. Example would be looking for the Arbitrum incentives, right? So more money will flow into Arbitrum altcoins. If you did the analysis and you found the projects that are good, then you could see how much, let's say, incentives they would get based on tokenomics, etc. You analyze the project and you know fundamentals are coming, and those tokens really don't have charts yet because it's just flat, because no one cared about those before. But now you did the fundamental analysis and you expect the fundamentals. So now you buy into those smaller projects, and that's one way to make money. Or again, you know how to trade or position trade, and then you still have some knowledge on fundamentals. You check both, and then you will understand when a trend comes based on the charts, and you buy in at the right time, and you know how to take profits, right? So again, all these things come together. Here, I wanted mostly focus on fundamental analysis and fundamentals, because when you do altcoins, those are very important. But again, I recommend you to have a basic technical analysis knowledge as well. Again, I'm not saying you should be a day trader, but you should be able to spot market trends, etc. And then the business numbers, again, become important if you want to invest in already established large protocols, because then you have to understand why would more people join and come if a protocol is already big. And sometimes it matters a lot. Again, with Rollbit, it just keeps going up, almost $1 billion. No one cares because they make a shit ton of money. So the valuation is fine. Use all this when you try to buy into a new coin and make the best decision. Again, it's better if there is confluence, if everything checks out. It's rare to have confluence with all of these, but it happens, especially in bull market, because there is more fundamentals, money coming into the market, charts are in uptrend, new protocols, fundamentally good protocols get discovered that nobody cared about during the bear market because money was not around, but now it is. So again, use this, and it's good if you have a focus on one of these or two of these, but try to use all of them. Again, you don't have to be a pro in each of these, but you need a basic understanding in each and then focus on the ones that interest you more. This is the end of the video.